Politico, and this is interesting because Politico is pretty left-wing. I mean, they're liberal. They're not fans of Trump at all. And Politico is saying that Trump has an actual literal open door policy in the Oval Office, that employees, staff, even lower level aides are allowed to just walk right into the Oval Office and talk to him because he wants to talk to everybody. It's open door policy. He says this is how he's always run his businesses. This is the way that he has always managed. He wants to stay connected to people and hear what people have to say. And he wants people to feel like they have access to him. And so even low-level aides can just walk into the Oval Office. Mr. President, got a minute? If he's like, no, you don't, I'm busy right now, but come back later. Or, yeah, sure, come on in. That's right. And Politico is writing this piece. I mean, they're pretty shocked about this. And they write this piece actually in a way to try to criticize Donald Trump, to say, oh, this is not really appropriate. Is this really wise for a president to be allowing himself this many people to be able to talk to him, and trying to create a perception that it's either chaos or can be confusing or whatever. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, wait a minute. I think this is actually complimentary to Donald Trump. I do. Because he's been painted as such an egotist who is all about him and such an elitist. And it turns out he's the guy who says, yeah, hey, sure, come on in. What's your name again? Which goes exactly against the way that he's been branded. So I'm reading to you now directly from Politico. Here's the headline, quote, Trump's open door Oval Office. The new White House staff may have more access to the president than any in modern history. Then they say, when Omarosa Manigault, the former Celebrity Apprentice anti-hero turned White House advisor, when Omarosa needs to talk to President Donald Trump, she simply strolls into the Oval Office. An assistant to the president and director of communications for the Office of Public Liaison, Manigault enjoys what Trump aides refer to as walk-in privileges, meaning she doesn't need an appointment or permission to just pop her head in and consult with the leader of the free world. Now, again, Politico's reporting this as a criticism of Donald Trump. And unless I'm missing something here, I see this as a compliment. Anyway, Politico goes on. Her level of easy access marks a break from the previous administration, where President Barack Obama and his gatekeeper chiefs of staff kept at bay the number of aides, even senior officials. In contrast, Trump may have set up the most accessible Oval Office in modern history. White House officials say the list of aides with walk-in privileges is a lot. From senior aides, mid-level aides, Politico says, quote, even lower-level White House staff can go into the Oval Office. And if it's somebody that's like a really lower-level staff, all they have to do is just when they get to the Oval Office, there's somebody outside the office say, can I go in? And like one White House staffer put it, quote, I've never been told no. But for the most part, most of the people in the White House don't even need to ask. Just walk right on in. Trump's door is just wide open. Anyway, Politico goes on. There's no formal list of who's allowed in or who's to be kept out. A White House official said, quote, the president likes to be accessible, including with his staff, and we will continue that. His loose approach means no single person in the White House controls the flow of information into the Oval Office. This is how Trump has always worked. At his office in Trump Tower, former staffers said it was rare that the boss would not welcome an employee into his 26th floor office. Trump even wrote about his open-door policy in his bestseller, The Art of the Deal. On page 1, Trump wrote, quote, most people are surprised by the way I work. I leave my door open. Obama, on the other hand, favored a chief of staff who served as an iron gate. Advisors who needed time with him were stacked together in what his last chief of staff, Dennis McDonald, referred to as, quote, a tiered rap session at the end of the day with pre-scheduled time slots. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, his management style, the way that he's operating in the White House. I think it's a good thing. And I think that this should be, I think Trump should be commended for this. I find it interesting that ABC, NBC, CNN, CBS, all the rest of them, that they're not really interested in going anywhere with this story. Because don't you think it paints Trump in a little more positive of a light? Something like this ought to be considered a news story. Politico did a piece on this, but what's the rest of the press doing? Yeah, let's just forget about that. We don't want to report anything that might make Trump look good. It's really sad. Well, anyway, you are listening to The Bob Dutko Show.